He's ready to do great things in people. But then he addresses those that are stubborn. He's also going to address people that are stubborn. He says, I'm going to make things right, and I'm going to do it right now. And whatever I say I'm going to do, I do. Do you believe that? Do you believe God when he says, I'm going to do something, that he's going to do it? Do your ears perk up when he says, I'm going to make things right, you stubborn people, and I'm going to do it right now? And so the biblical stubborn, and we all have a definition of stubborn. Sometimes in our English vernacular, stubborn can be a good thing. Stubborn in the ways of God, stubborn in the commands of God, not going to be swayed from it, not going to be talked out of it, right? But in this particular instance, stubborn means individuals who resist God's will, refuse to listen to correction, and prioritize their own desires over God's. That is a biblical definition of being stubborn. And a lot of translations use the word stiff-necked. Like a few weeks ago, I got overzealous. I was happy that my knee's starting to get better. And I said, Ernie, get the mitts on. I'm going to get my gloves on. And I just really went for it. I haven't really done much in 3 or 4 months. And I haven't done mitt work in probably a year. And 2 days later, I could barely turn my neck. Like still 3 weeks later, it's still sore. I don't know if you even noticed me, but if you call me, I'll kind of turn like this, right? Because my neck really is sore on the left side here. And so that's how stubborn people are spiritually. When they hear God's word, they're reluctant to turn that way. I'm reluctant to turn a certain way because it hurts, right? But these people are stiff-necked. They are reluctant to turn and listen to correction, and they have made up their mind that they're going to resist God's will, and they're going to put their priorities above God's priorities. So that's a biblical definition of being stubborn. And there are many different types of stubborn people. One of the types that we're going to go over this evening is one who continues to be stubborn after witnessing God's power. A lot of people witness God's power. They witness his goodness. We've been talking about remembering what God has done, and all of a sudden they remember all those things, and they refuse to do it God's way, refuse to stay on track, and they are stubborn even after witnessing God's power and witnessing God's goodness. Let's go to Exodus 32, starting in verse 1. Actually, it's 32, I'm sorry. Exodus 32, verse 1. It says, when the people saw how long it was taking Moses to come back down the mountain, they gathered around Aaron. Come on, they said, make us some gods who can lead us. We don't know what happened to this fellow Moses who brought us here from the land of Egypt. So Aaron said, take the gold rings from the ears of your wives and sons and daughters and bring them to me. All the people took the gold rings from their ears and brought them to Aaron. Then Aaron took the gold, melted it down, and molded it into the shape of a calf. When the people saw it, they exclaimed, "O Israel, these are the gods who brought you out of the land of Egypt." Aaron saw how excited the people were, so he built an altar in front of the calf. Then he announced, "Tomorrow will be a festival to the Lord." The people got up early the next morning to sacrifice burnt offerings and peace offerings. After this, they celebrated with feasting and drinking, and they indulged in pagan rivalry. The people got up early the next morning to sacrifice burnt offerings and peace offerings. And after this, they celebrated with feasting. Then the Lord told Moses, "Quick, go down the mountain. Your people whom you have brought from the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. How quickly they have turned away from the way I commanded them to live. They have melted down gold and made a calf, and they have bowed down and sacrificed to it. They are saying, 'These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt.' Then the Lord said, 'I have seen how stubborn and rebellious these people are. Now leave me alone so my fierce anger can blaze against them, and I will destroy them. Then I will make you, Moses, into a great nation.'" And when you go on to read, Moses interceded. He talked the Lord out of it, believe it or not, from devouring these people. But it didn't take long for Moses to go up and to get the 10 Commandments for the people to forget who actually brought them out of Egypt, right? And so Moses was up there getting the 10 Commandments. It didn't take long for them to say, hey, let's build our own gods. Let's build our own idols. So they melted all the gold, builded their own idols. And so the Lord's seen this, and he goes, man, these people are stubborn. You know, he pulls them out of Egypt supernaturally. He hears their cries. He takes them out of Egypt, takes them out of their addictions or whatever your Egypt is. And after being fed in the wilderness and water coming out of rocks and food falling from heaven, and all of a sudden they decide, hey, let's make another God. And they begin to say, this is the God that took us out of Egypt. And so that's that one scenario, or the one type of people that are stubborn. They witness the goodness of God, the power of God, the miraculous of God, and then they go against God and they do it their way. They refuse correction. They want to prioritize their own desires over God, and they resist God's will. So don't ever be that type of people where you think about everything that God has done, and then all of a sudden you become stubborn and want to do it your way. You want to prioritize your life over God's will, and you refuse correction, and it's a sinking ship. It really is.